Today I'm sharing with you guys the top 3 movements for strength training the legs. These are my absolute tried and true, the ones I always go to and that I've seen be the most effective in my running. They make my running feel easier. They target the areas that usually break down from injury when I'm running. And number 3, honestly, these movements make my legs look the best in shorts. So we're gonna get right into it, guys. I've got 3 for you, and then at the end, I'll tell you how to put them together for an awesome workout. Movement number 1 is gonna be a heel elevated squat. If you're in the gym, I want you guys to use a 5 or 10 pound weight plate. And if you're not in the gym, I want you to grab a couple magazines lying around or a hardcover, thicker book, like a cookbook. Nothing taller than 3 inches off the ground. That makes it a little bit too unstable for the surface, but we want something around 2 inches would be great. Put that down on the ground. You guys can follow along and do this with me, or you can just watch and do it later. We're gonna find the back third of our feet on the elevated surface. So it's not under my arch necessarily, right under the middle, it's a little bit behind. And I'm gonna keep my narrow stance, so I'm actually gonna have my feet close to almost together, if not all the way together, depending on your surface size. And you're gonna put even weight through the whole feet. So you wanna feel like you're standing flat on the ground. You don't wanna be shoved forward and overworking the calves here. You wanna keep your feet nice and flat, keep the heels heavy back there, so you're really gonna use those heels to drive out of the squat. We're gonna squeeze our hips forward, belly button in, nice and tight here. We're gonna do a normal squat position, hips back, knees press into imaginary walls, chest is forward, neutral chin, and we're gonna find down the bottom of the squat here. Breaking parallel if we can, we're gonna shove into those heels onto the surface and come up strong. Try one more there, we come on back, down as far as we can, relax the front of the ankles. We're gonna dig into those heels, press and stand. You can try a couple more of those while I explain why I love this movement. I really love this movement because it turns our glutes on. And a lot of injuries from running or from bad positions throughout the day, if we're seated all day, come from weak or deactivated glutes. We have to turn them on and we have to keep them strong. And this is one of those movements where you basically can't do it wrong. It's going to get them firing. There's no way around it. When I had a bad hip injury and I felt like my hip flexors were really overworking, I realized my glutes were weak. Once I strengthened them and used movements like this, I noticed a world of difference. A lot of pressure came off the front of my hips. If you deal with sciatic pain, I know during the beginning of COVID and everything, people were sitting a lot more than normal. A lot of people dealt with a ton of sciatic pain and just almost nervy kind of tingly sensation. Stronger glutes will fix that. This is amazing for that. And lastly, it actually helps with shin splints because we get you working on a little bit of an unstable surface to build some strength around the shins and the lower leg, which again helps support better running. Next movement is going to be a single leg good morning. This one's amazing for a plethora of reasons, but number 1 is that it makes you work on single leg strength. That makes our running, individual steps of our running, stronger, making us last longer in a long run with good form. This is really important also for not getting injured. So how we set this one up is we're gonna stand on one leg, back leg is here with a light tap on the back foot, no weight back there. This is just an extra kickstand if we need it. Most of our weight is in the standing heel. We have a small bend in that standing leg. All we're doing from here is locking our standing leg in place and folding at the hips forward to stand right back up. So we stand, like I said, mini bend in the standing leg, no weight back here, hands behind the head and belly button drawn in. I'm gonna stick my hips back behind me. Weight is in my standing heel. I'm gonna dig forward, dig into that heel, and I'm gonna press my hips to stand. It's all standing glute right here. It's hamstring, IT band is working. We are getting our hips back and forward using the hinge right there at the hips here. We are using our glute, our posterior hamstring, everything down the back to organize that fold forward and up. So here we go one more time. Over, nice strong back, but we don't overdo it with the shoulders. Dig in, press the knee out and up. Try a few of those while I tell you why I love this one. Number 1, for vanity's sake, guys, this is amazing for just shredding out the back of the legs, the hamstrings, the IT band. I think what makes someone look nice and athletic in shorts, it's not why we're doing it, but what makes them look that way is having nice definition through the back of the leg. Of course, our quads, but this is a good one to hit. Number 2, obviously when we run, the first thing to start to sink is our hips. We get lazy and sloppy, and that's why our cadence drops. We just get slow and a little shuffly. When we do this single leg work and we do work the posterior and we're really helping balance out the heaviness of our quads, the emphasis on the quads, we find a much more balanced landing, and we're able to do this for much longer. If we can also pair that with solid work on our balance, not overdoing it or over gripping with the bottom of the foot, we make ourselves a lot more resilient against shin splints too, because when we do our balance, we're trying to stay organized right down the middle of the body and focus on not falling one way or the other. That builds some muscle right here, which again fights the shin splints and makes us much better runners. If you guys do want to make this one harder, you can always add some weight, like I said, on the back. So empty barbell will be plenty, even for men, or you can do a weighted PVC pipe, which is a bit lighter, kind of that nice in between. Or you can also just take that back leg off completely and really make it challenging on the balance, where the back leg isn't even there to help you as a kickstand. So you might need a little more bend in that standing leg for that one, but those are ways to make this harder. There is nothing I like more than making a workout efficient, more bang for your buck in a short amount of time, and that's why our third movement today is a high skip on the single leg. This one works your whole body, really adds that power to your running, that agility work to your routine, and gets your heart rate up. So what more could we ask for? How this one works, guys, is we're gonna kind of build on what we just did in the first two movements. We're gonna keep our weight back on that standing leg heel and step back into a lunge, opposite hand tapping the ground. That's gonna be our starting point for the skip. So we've got our weight back in that standing heel. We know what that feels like now, but we're not over gripping on the front of the ankle or foot. We're gonna sit back. This time you can really bend that standing leg, tap the ground. From here, we drive into that standing heel and we drive our other knee up. We're gonna do a nice high skip off the ground. If you haven't done skipping or jump roping or anything like that in a while, since being a kid even, this might feel a little funky at first, but you will be able to feel that push off eventually just with a little practice. So we step back here. I'm gonna use my front heel and a little push off from the back leg of the lunge as well. Chest is forward, and I'm gonna push and drive opposite arm to opposite knee, like this. So I step back here, and then I'm coming up, big pull, opposite. Nice and strong, like this. I love this one. It is such a burner. It sucks. It gets that heart rate up so quickly, but it creates power behind your running, which is so good for those of you looking to improve speed, but it's also so good to resist against injury once again, because the more well-rounded we are, we're not slogging along in the same movement all the time, the better off we're gonna be. So when you guys do these high skips, I want you to focus on using that core to drive the knee up, really focus and fold, and I want you to get nice and high on every rep through that standing heel. Make sure you press the knee out as you do this, nice stable position, and you're trying to get as high as you can, the most power out of each rep. All right, I promised you guys that we're gonna put it all together in a workout, so that's what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna lay this out for you in a 17-minute workout with rest built in. Don't underestimate it. This is tough. It's gonna be a burner. And if you wanna do follow along style for this and breathe and sweat alongside me, click down in the description for my Patreon. You'll see that there. But here's how it's all laid out for you. We've got 3 different pods. In pod 1, you're doing 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest, one time through. So you've got heel elevated squats for 45 seconds, 15-second rest, 45 seconds of your single leg good morning first side, 15-second rest, other leg good morning, rest, you get the idea. 1 round, we're done with that, take a 1-minute break. Pod 2, we're gonna do shorter bursts, a little bit more power behind the movements, short rests too, we keep it moving for 2 rounds of this one. 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Same order of the movements, it'll all be down in the description for you, by the way. And you go through that, 1-minute rest, and we finish in pod 3. Long and slow burn, 1 minute fully of work in each movement, back to back to back, no built-in rest there. You're just gonna keep it moving, endurance style, compared to that big push of the 20-second on, 10-second off in pod 2. That is how this workout is gonna work. If you guys have questions or need modifications for any of the movements we did today, please let me know, I'm happy to do it. This stuff works, you guys. If you're new to strength training, start with a workout like this. It's really good. You can do it anywhere. You really don't need anything for it besides that little elevation for the heel. I love you guys. Thank you for watching today. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.